So if somehow in the past week you guys have not seen all the LAN and RLFM members, recognize LEGO fan media people over in Denmark at the LEGO house and the LEGO factory and stuff like that. If you guys have not seen that, that is what's been going on for the past week. And just like last year, I think they do this every single year, just like last year, it looks like we're going to start getting a couple interviews coming out with LEGO Star Wars designers and other theme designers. And this is going to be an interesting time to start getting a couple things answered. You guys kind of know my perspective on kind of LAN in general. I do like a lot of people in LAN as people. Some of them I don't even know, so I can't speak on that. But there's definitely some parts of me that think look, when these LAN members are asking these designers questions, are they really gonna, rebuttal the answers and call them out and take that extra step to kind of get a truthful answer, or are they kind of just take the answer they get and kind of run with it? So we have an answer right here for a very important question that has been going on for about a year and a half, but most importantly in the past couple months, involving a couple LEGO Star Wars clone troopers, and that being the Waistcape. So we finally have a kind of direct answer and kind of the finalized public answer from LEGO's behalf on why LEGO Star Wars clone troopers do not get Waistcapes, in particular this time, not the LEGO Star Wars Captain Rex minifigure in the $650 18 plus UCS collector set. So we'll kind of break it down, we'll get into it, we'll get into what the designer says, and we'll pretty much go from there. So this article that was posted, where this interview comes from, was posted by brickfanatics.com, and I don't doubt for a second that probably sometime in the next week or so, we will probably see a physical video form of said interview, maybe from David over at LifeBricks. I know he did one last year, and these answers might be a little bit more fleshed out in a long form video, but this article pretty much right here comes from, like I said, Brick Fanatics, and basically what it was just the fact of the matter of why LEGO has gone the route of not giving clone troopers Waistcapes, in particular the Captain Rex. So this is from LEGO Star Wars minifig graphic designer Madison O'Neill. I don't know him personally. Nothing I say in this video is going to be direct hate towards him. I don't know him. I don't know the whole story, of course. I'm not in those rooms. I'm not in those internal meetings. But let's actually get into what the designer Madison O'Neill says. He says, there was a decision internally that we wanted a consistent approach for all the clone trooper characters that have the comma, Madison explains. We know that kids find them tricky to put on, and we know that it limits the movement of the minifigure that they can't sit down. So for consistency's sake, we made a decision that we would just do a printed approach on those for now, between small price points and large price points. So definitely an interesting little paragraph to read right there, and I've got some things I want to speak about on it. All right, so first I want to, kind of get into the whole consistency point here and to kind of break it down from at least what I think. Again, this is all my opinion. Some of it, of course, is, factual, objectiveness, and some of it is subjectiveness. So, again, at the end of the day, this is, kind of my thoughts, my opinions. This is what I think of the situation, and that's all it is. So, from a objective standpoint, if you want to talk about consistency, the Captain Rex is already not consistent because you put arm printing on him. And technically speaking, every LEGO Star Wars clone trooper minifigure they make, should have that arm printing. Of course, it's not going to look identical, but every clone trooper has the exact same armor plates. Most clone troopers, again, especially Legion clone troopers, they have some color on their arms. And in a technical speaking point, that consistency is already broken there. And another thing too, if you want to get down to consistency, is from their 2020 style of clone trooper, which 2020 501st clones, that's when they kind of they went into the new era. They went into the combined live action and animated clone style, which kind of controversial. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. Technically speaking, the 2020 501st and the 2021 or 2022 187th clones, the regular clones there. Those aren't consistent either because they don't have helmet holes, and all these new clone troopers do, and the Bad Batch minifigures don't have helmet holes either. So just from a little bit nitpicky or whatever, but if that's going to be one of their kind of things to use against it, factually speaking, this era of clone troopers is already severely not consistent. Move on to this next part really quickly. We know that kids find them tricky to put on. So, of course, I can't, factually speak for every single kid consumer out there that's ever tried to build a Lego set and attempt to put on a Waistcape. I factually just don't know. I have not taken a poll. There's no data out there, but at least from my personal perspective, it is not difficult to put them on. 10 years ago when I was putting my Captain Rex together, when I was putting my ARC Troopers together, when I was 11 and 12 years old, I know I had no problems. Like, I can kind of vividly remember it now that I'm thinking about it. On this point, I've got 3 more quick things here. So if you want to talk about, trickiness of putting something on, I have to say that, throughout a lot of Lego sets, Lego Star Wars, other themes, even the UCS Venator itself, whether you want to consider it a kid's toy, a collector's item, whatever, at least from my opinion, and what I see on a lot of people's, some of these Reddit posts, some of these Facebook posts, some of my, own friends in the community that kind of just talk about it. Technic, building Technic in some of these sets, how the instructions don't fully explain it. There's 10 pages in a row. You got to put 25 different pins in. You got to put, make sure everything lines up. You got to make sure the gears line up. Otherwise your stuff isn't going to turn right. I would assume that's a way more tricky for a kid to do, and that could factually ruin your set. If you put gears on the wrong way and you're building a big enough set, you'll have to tear down that set because that set won't work, properly. Compared to a little waistcape where it's look, maybe you mess it up, maybe it gets a little wrinkle in there, whatever, speaking, it doesn't fundamentally kind of ruin everything, and that's why I kind of want to get back into the point of where honestly with what Lego should be doing is giving us, the cloth versions and the printed, waistcapes. So where again, you can have a preference, whether you're a kid, a teenager, an adult, you can actually have that decision of, do you want to put the cloth one on or keep it printed? And, technically speaking at that point, I know people say, of course, if you're going to put a new molded part or a new printed piece into a set, I think I've heard the numbers around there, it costs $10,000 to $15,000 for Lego to create a new mold for a piece and kind of get that machine up and running and be able to get that kind of part on the line. But for a cloth, again, I'm not an economics master. I've never mass produced waistcape, so I don't factually know. But you would have to assume, if you're mass producing a little cloth piece like that, labor included. It's all robots these days, but just material, time, whatever, electricity. Maybe you're out, from what I know and from what I've talked about with people, maximum, maybe a nickel, 5 cents. So if you take 5 cents into perspective and the fact of, say Lego's margins are 50%. I would assume they're probably not much less than that, maybe a little bit bigger even, but say 50%. So on a $650 set, divided by 2, of course, you're getting $325 right there. Okay, so say, $325, at that point, again, we don't know for sure, but say there factually is 100 people out there, and this number could be way more, it could even be less. Who really knows? You hear some of these people say in these comment sections, hey, if it had a waistcape, I would pay full $650. You hear those comments. Are they telling the truth? Who really knows? But, say even there's a million hardcore Lego fans out there. It's safe to assume 50 or 100 of those people might truly have that perspective. So if you take that into account, say you're doing 325 profit on that set, times it by, again, we'll do 100, we'll do a conservative 100. That's 32,000 extra dollars, just for kind of a random kind of number to throw out there. So that's already, covering the cost of, say putting up your machine, getting that extra part on the line. I would assume it would cost way less to actually get the cloth kind of started up anyway, since you're not actually making a new mold. You're just literally cutting on a piece of cloth. I would assume, cutting on a piece of cloth is way cheaper than making a whole new, mold machine and everything like that. So, in my opinion, it just, when you're paying $650, I just can't see how that's not an option of just letting us do either one. And if again, the consumer that's paying $650, if they want to keep it consistent, although Rex has arm printing, and, Rex has helmet holes compared to his 2020 501st clones that he's going to be leading, which is not consistent. That's just kind of that thing where I think for an extra nickel, again, and I think I've said this before, it's $649.99 on the shelves October 1st. Charge me $650.04 and give me that waist cape and I'll be a happy camper. I think a lot of us would. So that's kind of my take on the consistency part, putting it on, the tricky part. And that's really that, limits the movements. Again, just take the damn thing off. It's like, and my thing too is like, tricky to put on. Like, you literally have instruction manuals for these sets that are multiple hundreds of pages explaining how to put every damn thing on the set. And again, some of those technique parts, even for me, I'm 22. I mean, they get confusing sometimes. They kind of make you do a double take. I just find it damn hard to believe, man, that putting a waist cape on would be that hard. But again, we're talking about, I don't care for a second. Like, I'll never be on the boat of saying, sure, the Lego product itself, the Lego company itself is a family-friendly product for basically all ages. You get your Duplo in there at, 2-3 years old. You get your, 4 pluses in at 4 plus. You get your, system sets in at, 6 plus. Like, I get that. That's 100% fine. But from a actual standpoint of, if you're going to put 18 plus on a box, I mean, how is that set not catered to 18 plus people? That's my take on that. How is that set not meant to be, again, you're not going to get, arrested if you're 17 buying the set. But if you are making the set 18 plus and categorizing the fact of, you pretty much have to, you should be 18 plus to like fully probably comprehend how to build this, have the best experience, not have any trouble building it. If you're 18 plus, it's like, come on now, like, start doing some things in that direction, I feel. So that's always been my take on that. I think them doing 18 plus on some sets really kind of screwed them. I know it's a small thing. It's not like anything too crazy to think about, but I know I'm not the only one that thinks like that. I mean, it's an 18 plus collector's item, UCS Ultimate Collector Series. I mean, I'm not feeling too ultimate, having to do, 5 extra things myself to make the set look better. Like, I'm just not thinking that way. I don't feel too ultimate at that point. I feel like it's, a 98.9% collector series, something like that. It's like a almost there collector series, not ultimate. But all right, so then really my last take on this, which kind of nitpicky, but the more I'm thinking about it, really not, because I mean, if you take this exact paragraph that this designer said, like, it doesn't work amongst all their themes, which again, you kind of have to think about, why is Star Wars seem to always be like the odd one out, especially recently, in the fact of cutting corners, not doing this, not getting something special, etc. Because if you take this exact same thing, you can't apply that to actual kid sets that are aimed at 6 plus, 8 plus. You have Scarlet Witch in that $100 Endgame set. You have that Dreams minifigure and that like $140 boat thing, that are both maybe 10 plus each, maybe 8 plus and 10 plus. Again, I get those waist capes don't go all the way to the front, so maybe they're 10% easier to put on. But it is just the kind of the fact of the matter that if you just want to do a pound for pound comparison amongst themes, in this whole regard, Lego Star Wars seems to get the short end of the stick again. And so with all that being said, let's get the composure a little bit back down here and close my final thoughts off right here. So again, as much as this is, a 10-minute long video, of course I'm, ranting per se, whatever you want to call it. That's just because at the end of the day, this just doesn't make any sense to me. I feel like I can't be the only one in the boat. And again, if you disagree with me, it doesn't really matter. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, neither of us can do anything to change this. It's already changed. It's already locked in their mindset. And these clone troopers are going to be how they are. And by now, if you like them, you like them. You don't, you don't. I'm not trying to sway anyone's opinion. I really don't care if you like the printed waist capes. I mean, that's genuinely fine by me. It has no bearing on my end. Just like how, I'm trying to be an advocate for putting waist capes back on clones, or at least having that option, cloth ones. It should not matter to you at the end of the day. Again, you're probably not even watching this video at this point, but my take on this is just the fact of the matter is, me myself, I'm getting pretty burnt out by clone troopers anyway, and really, I think it's safe to say, for people that say agree with me, are on the same page with me, including myself, I'm pretty much done with clone troopers until they come back with a little bit of a revamp. I'm still thinking they'll probably run these until like 2025. Maybe we'll get a surprise one in like 2026, 2027. But I think it's safe to say it might be another scenario like the late 2010s, where we might get a couple year gap and they come back in the early 2030s with a kind of new design clone trooper. Whether we get stuff that is still, objectively inaccurate, or, stuff that kind of just grinds some of our gears and corners cut, I mean, only time will tell again. But pretty much for the moment, I really it doesn't matter. I'm fortunate enough where, look, I can put a black physical waistcape on my Rex, in 3 days when I get the set. But at the end of the day, I'm really just trying to advocate here in the fact of I'm trying to be a person that just speaks up on the fact of, I just don't fully get this. I don't think this is the right way. Some of these people should be, working on Lego Star Wars. That's not knocking the designers. It's just the fact of the matter. I think there's some things they're doing that just factually just doesn't make any sense from any perspective. The only thing I can say about this is, this does kind of make me think a little bit more that if they're, classifying this Rex minifigure as a playable minifigure for kids, we might actually get this exact same Rex in a cheaper set, which would be kind of funny because in the Venator instructions, it says 2 new exclusive minifigures, which, sure, Lego could probably come back and say, hey, at the time of release, they were exclusive, but I'm starting to think more and more we might actually get this exact same Rex minifigure. There was speculation we might get him without the head print on him and maybe no arm printing, but at this point, I think it's all kind of free game from Lego. And again, I don't care either way. Rex is already made by the Mexico factory. The value is going to be down forever. I don't care. As a collector, as a seller, whatever, it doesn't bother me. I don't care if everyone on the planet gets 5 of these Captain Rexes, but it does look like this will be in a cheaper set later on, and I'm willing to bet it's the exact same figure. So that's everything for today's video. It's a Thursday morning at like 8 a.m., and I did not expect to wake up to doing this, but I'm just energetic. I just woke up, wanted to talk. This is definitely a topic that was fun to finally get an answer with. So without further ado, that's everything for today's video. Leave your thoughts down below. I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye, guys. Stay safe.